Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another mini preview, and today we're talking about Mythic Mischief Volume 2. Now, this is a game that I've already sort of covered. And when I say sort of covered, I did a review of Mythic Mischief with the Headmaster box last year or something like that. And you're going to see up there, starting now, the video that kind of shows how you play the game. You'll find a link to that down in the description if you want to check out how Mythic Mischief is played. And I'm not redoing that right now because it's the same game, just slightly different, with some new factions and a new look. And briefly, what's happening in this game is each player takes on a faction of students, kind of ghostly, spooky students, mystical, mythical creatures, right? You might be zombies or ghosts or gnomes or werewolves or witches, etc., etc., etc. And I'm actually combining the Volume 1 and Volume 2 factions there together, but you get the idea. And each one is going to be able to do a few different things on their turn. They're going to be able to move their own characters. They'll be able to move the other players' characters. They'll be able to move whatever it is that is blocking the way. In the previous version, it was bookshelves. In the new version, it's hedges. And they will be able to move the gardener, or in the previous one, the tome master, the kind of neutral third party that's roaming around and trying to catch these students doing things they're not supposed to be doing. And they also all have various powers. Now, some of those things are the same for everybody. How you do your basic move and how you move the gardener. However, the others are unique to each different faction in the way that they operate. They still will move somebody else, but maybe they move them from orthogonally adjacent to them to another spot orthogonally adjacent to them. Maybe it takes them and pushes them across the board, or maybe it moves them diagonally, or whatever. So they all do something slightly different. They have slightly different powers and slightly different ways of doing the same things. And what you're trying to do in the game is you're going to be collecting these tomes that are all around and you're going to be using those to power up your actions, because you're only going to get a few actions that you can take each turn, but as you go through the game, you're going to be able to upgrade the minimum number of those actions that you're going to be taking. And you're moving around and moving things around. You're moving the barriers, you're moving the gardener in order to make the gardener, when it moves at the end of each turn, catch the other player. When the other player gets caught, they lose points. If for some reason you get caught on your turn, you're going to lose a point. And whoever gets to the end of the point track first is going to be the winner. And I'll also point out that if you have Mythic Mischief Volume 1 and Volume 2, or the Headmaster edition of Volume 1, you can actually play with 3 or 4 players, and there's also a solo mode as well. Finally, there is now an app that I've gotten to play around with a little bit in its beta version, an app version of Mythic Mischief, which will let you play against people kind of all over the world, I guess? I don't know. So, what do I like about this game? And a lot of this is going to be a repeat of what I said for Mythic Mischief. And that is, I like the chess nature of this game, and I like the new puzzle that happens each round, and how you have to tactically react to whatever the other player does. I think this game does it spectacularly well. Just astoundingly well, how enjoyable the tactical response that you have to do every single round as you're trying to keep ahead of the other player. And I also like that you can kind of do a little bit of that, as I said, chess-like, try to see ahead. Okay, well, if they do this, I'm going to do this, so the best thing. And you kind of have those moments where it's like in The Hangover, where you see the math equations kind of happening everywhere, and it's that kind of thing. And that is really enjoyable, especially when it works. And for me, when it doesn't work, because that is also kind of fun and hilarious and funny. But what I really think works about this game is how different each of the factions are, yet how similar. And what I mean by that is, if you understand how to play one faction, you can, within 2 minutes, understand how to play another faction. Because though they are drastically differently, the way that they are drastically different is still similar to all the others. What I mean by that is you have one action that's going to move their character somehow on the board. And you know that. You know where that is on your player board, you know how to buff it up, and you know what's going to go on. And the fact that 2 of the actions are always the same, just simple move and then move the gardener or the tome keeper. It makes it to where it's very easy to pick up a new faction, and I think that is just brilliant. I love the way that works. Now, talking specifically about Volume 2, I really like the new factions. I think they're great. I don't know that I like all 4 of the new factions more than all of the old ones. I wouldn't say that, but I am willing to say that all 4 of the new factions are in the top half of all of the factions, if that makes sense. I just really enjoy how they play. I like the way they look. I'm just smitten by them. The next thing I'll say is, I appreciate the different look of the game. I like that it's got the hedges and it's got the gardener, and I really am looking forward to playing a 4-player game of an old board and the new board, until you have the tome keeper kind of running around inside, and then outside you got the gardener doing its thing. I think that's great. It's more thematic to me, and I'm actually rather excited by it. I think the minis, and this is just an advanced copy, they look really good. There are some issues, I think, with some of the coloration of the minis and the dice, but in this early version that I have, they are off. So I know they are going to be changed, but just something that I'm going to kind of toss out there. And the last thing I'll say is, this is a wonderful size box. It's a great size box. I like, and I have, you can't quite see it, it's up there. I have my Headmaster's box, and I really enjoy it. But this is really portable. I am very happy with the size of this box. And I also love that I can easily just pull some of the factions out of the old box, switch them in and out, and now it's suddenly portable. I think that's great. But what are my quibbles with the game? Well, my main quibble is, if you already have Mythic Mischief Volume 1, and you don't play it a lot, or didn't play it a lot, then you don't need this new version. Because it is, to me, a more of a good thing expansion. It's got some aesthetic differences, which I really like, and it's just new factions. And so this is not something that's going to take Mythic Mischief, if you did not like it, and make you like it. And then the only other thing that I'll say is, and I mentioned this is something that I enjoy, however, you might not be into that chess-style game. You might not be into that. I need to think ahead and plan out, well, if they do this, I'm going to do this. If they do this, I'm going to do this. There is a lot of brain burn going on within what is a relatively simple game, and this new version does nothing to change that. It is still the same game, and so you have to be ready for that. You have to be ready for that head-to-head battle. And because of that, I think there is definitely a learning curve to this game. What I mean by that is, someone who has played a lot is going to win the game a lot more than someone who is new to it. There is a skill to it, like there is a skill to chess, though not nearly as much of a skill to this as there is to chess, but you understand what I'm saying. And then the last thing I'm going to say before I kind of wrap this up is I want to talk a little bit about the app. And I've not gotten to play with the app nearly as much as I played with the actual prototype, but I am pretty pleased with this app. The matchmaking seems to work pretty well. The UI is pretty clear. I have not had anything crash on me, though again, I haven't played it very much, and it works pretty well. So to me, having this option out there as another way to play this game, I think is really, really cool. And also you can do it kind of a hot seat as you're sitting there with somebody else and just play right there on your phone, and I think that's going to be great. I'm definitely going to use that quite often, I think. So there you have it, folks. That is Mythic Mischief Volume 2. I'm pleased with it. It's got the IV Games wonderful production value to it. This is a good game. This is definitely, for me, a top 10 two-player game, without question. Exactly where I'd put it in a two-player game list of top 10, I don't know, but it would definitely be in there. And I think that says a lot, because I play a lot of two-player games. So, there you have it, folks. That is Mythic Mischief Volume 2. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.